Think of your favorite book series, one that has concluded. Think about the people involved in the creation of the world these books are attempting to convey. And since it's your favorite, it must have done a good job. It's safe to assume that this book series is almost single-handedly responsible for the success of the author of it, and without it, the author would likely be doing work for a larger, more successful publication or author. Now imagine an alternate reality where the last book in that series never released, and the last time the author had spoken of the series with any concrete detail was over a decade ago. The author instead somehow has made a living selling other people's books and refuses to answer any questions about the original series left without an ending, acting almost annoyed that they have to field these questions in the first place. Now imagine the community surrounding these books, and after how long only the most dedicated fans would still be around keeping the spark of the series alive, being laughed at by the greater world for their inability to let it go, and being viewed as a massive problem by the original creators of the series. Now imagine that the original creators started to crack jokes about the lack of a conclusion, the lack of a continuation, and the annoying nature of the community as a whole. Wouldn't that be terrible?
But milestones aren't really the end of anything, they're really the beginning, right? So Half-Life led to Half-Life 2. Source led to Source 2. The experiments we did with Team Fortress 2 were what enabled us to build Dota. Artifact is the reason that we're able to do Underlords. And so, maybe someday the number 2 will lead us to that shiny integer glowing on a mountain someplace.
Radio in case Judith tries to reach us again.
Good idea. She could well make another attempt.
I'm gonna count to 3. Raise your hand again. Everybody raise your hand. I'm gonna count to 3. And when I say 3, you say, when is Half-Life 3? Okay? All right? Ready? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3.
Oh no. Dad! Gordon! Help! Dad!
Alex!
Dad! Get away!
Anyhow, thank you very much. I have a light flashing at me telling me that I don't get to answer the third question. And hope you enjoy it.
Don't leave me.
People are kind of going crazy because on the screen there is a Half-Life 3 logo. But it says.
I haven't seen the picture, so
it says.
if you want to send it over here?
Yeah.
I'll be the bailiff.
So that's a person playing Arizona Sunshine, but if you pay attention very, very close to the screen itself, there is a Half-Life, not 2, obviously 3 logo, and it says either VR3 or W3, but VR3 makes more sense.
That's actually news to us.
Oh, is it really?
Well, it's news that the picture's out, but it's news that that icon is on the screen. That honestly, those icons have worked.
The ending scene of episode 2 was released onto the world in October of 2007. To put that into perspective, I was 10 years old and looked like this when the orange box was released. And although I latched onto Portal more so than Half-Life first, since then Half-Life has become far more important. I look like this now, by the way. I spent the entire time since the release finding information on the conclusion of the story, not immediately sharing details that I found, but later opening up a news network to share my findings with others that share my goal. That's why I really hate it when Gabe and friends have started making jokes about this situation. Over the last decade, I've spent most of my time learning not only about what happened to the Half-Life series, but how Valve works overall. And I'm likely in a position where I understand more than most non-NDA'd people out there. And I understand why they would want to refrain from discussing anything publicly until they know completely that they will be releasing something soon. That's fine, but at this point, I feel as if they either should be open and honest about the difficulties that Valve has faced in an attempt to follow up episode 2, or never discuss it ever. and leave the jokes out. I do not understand why, after 12 years, Valve is still unable to explain what happened to Episode 3, what was planned for it, and show off something simple like a video of a prototype or a small proof of concept build for documentation purposes, or maybe like a documentary film called Finding Freeman or something that ends with the announcement of HLVR. But what do I know? I'm just Valve News Network. Obviously, there is a lot that could be said about the situation surrounding the development of Half-Life games over the last 10 years, details that Valve would rather take to their grave. However, if that is true truly the case, stop making jokes until you have something to show. Don't both refuse to answer any questions and crack jokes at the same time. It makes it seem like you don't care about your fans.